Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Hi everyone, I'm 28 female, here to vent about my older sister, 34 female, and our strained relationship. Our age gap is 6 years, and it seems like it's always been a source of tension between us. Growing up, my sister always ignored me and mistreated me. She was the oldest, so she felt entitled to boss me around and control me. I felt like I was never good enough for her attention or approval. It was a tough way to grow up, always feeling like the odd one out in my own family. Fast forward to my adulthood, and the situation has only gotten worse. When she got engaged, I was excited for her, but she didn't seem interested in sharing her excitement with me. I was hoping she would ask me to be her bridesmaid, maid of honor even, but it turned out I wasn't even at the bridal party. I wasn't to be in a rehearsal, and I was to be seated with our extended family during the reception. That last bit hurt me so much. I was the only immediate family member being singled out like that and felt like a deliberate snub. That was when I realized there was no hope for us. It was the final straw for me. I didn't want to have someone in my life who treated me so poorly. Someone to whom I was less than an afterthought, so I cut her off. She never made any effort to reach out to me for years, and I was okay with that. Fast forward a few years, and I started preparing for my wedding. As my wedding day got closer, I sent out invitations to everyone in my family except my sister. I knew it would be difficult, but I didn't want a negativity to ruin my special day. Besides, I didn't even think she'd mind, considering how we haven't had a single relationship the past few years. However, when she found out, she flipped out. She called me up for the first time in many years and went off at me, telling me that I was a horrible human being for singling her out like that out of all the family, that I was being unfair and that she deserved to be a part of the wedding. I explained to her that I felt hurt by her actions and that I didn't want to risk her causing a scene at the wedding. But she wouldn't listen. She demanded that I include her and that her perfect little daughter should be the flower girl. I refused and reminded her what she did to me at her own wedding, and so this is fair play by me. She has no grounds to complain or yap about unfairness. She hung up on that. The next few weeks were tense. My sister would call me constantly, leaving angry voicemails and sending me hurtful texts. I tried to ignore her, but it was hard. My parents tried to intervene to get her to back off, but she was persistent. On the day of the wedding, everything was perfect. I felt so happy and so loved by my family and friends. But then, during the reception, I saw something that I couldn't believe. My sister and her daughter had shown up and were trying to mingle with the family, much to their visible shock. And to my horror, my sister was wearing a white dress, very much like a wedding dress, and her daughter was wearing a flower girl dress. I was furious. How could she do something so spiteful and cruel? I pulled her aside and asked her to leave, but she refused. She started yelling at me, telling me that I was the one who was being selfish and that I had no right to exclude her and her daughter from my wedding, that I made her look bad in front of the whole family. Everybody was talking behind her back and calling her a bad sister. Besides, it's her daughter's right to be the flower girl in her only aunt's wedding, and she emphasized she would not stand by and watch her child's chance be stolen. She went on and on like this until the rest of my family and my husband's family intervened. They then forced both of them out with the help of security. It happened fast and didn't attract much attention by most of the guests, so the wedding went without a hitch. Since then, my sister hasn't stopped bombarding me with messages and voicemail. Her husband also called me to go off at me for excluding her, and I was so confused for a moment. My parents and rest of my family have been firing back at her thankfully, and it feels like a full-on war. And I feel awful that my wedding caused this. I never thought that my wedding day would be so traumatic. I just wanted to celebrate my love with my husband. But instead, it turned out into a nightmare. I'm trying my best to move on and focus on the positive. But it's hard when my sister is always there, lurking in the back of my mind, reminding me of what could have been. Update. Hey, it's me. Yes, you guys were right. I didn't cause this. My wedding didn't cause this. It's my sister's fault 100%. And I'm not going to claim any ownership for her awful behavior. And I do agree with you that she's a narcissist. It's very obvious after her display at my wedding. So I unblocked her number while still in my honeymoon. I talked to her. I didn't get angry, but I highlighted everything she's ever done to me. The ill treatment, the ignoring, the snub at a wedding, etc. She tried to protest, but I didn't let her. I explained to her very calmly that she's an awful person and she didn't deserve to be a part of my life. That if she's getting backlash from our family, it's not because I didn't invite her to my wedding, but because they know what she did to me for all these years. She started sobbing at this point, saying I was hurting her, but I told her she deserved it, told her never to contact me again, and hung up. I have felt so much at peace since that phone call. I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my honeymoon in peace. Thank you all. I'm sorry you had to deal with your sister's awful behavior during your wedding. Her level of entitlement is very high, and I hope her kids don't grow up to be like her. The fact that even after explaining everything to her about how she had hurt you all those years, all she could come up with was that you're hurting her for telling her how horrible she was, just proves that she's a narcissist and you're way better off without her in your life. A normal, considerate person would have apologized, but instead, your sister wanted to make it all about her and how she feels. I hope you enjoy your honeymoon. Your family is great for standing up for you and understanding you. Happy married life, OP. Story 2. First time posting, but I feel really bad and angry. Me, 20, and my sister, 16, have a tense relationship. For context, we live in a very dysfunctional family, and things aren't the best right now. But something happened a while ago that made me wonder if I should have been the bigger person here. I don't usually eat snacks in front of my family because my siblings are insensitive and comment on that a lot. They call me insatiable, mock the way I eat, complain I ate too much, even if I didn't even taste it yet. But my sister is the worst. She always jumps in to mock me or insert herself in a situation. I would be eating and she'd tell me to shut up, to stop being noisy. I try my best, but even the way I hold the spoon, I get mocked for. And my parents don't comment. If I try to get them involved, they say, she's a teenager, she's mean to everyone. But this is excessive. We always argue because she's too blunt, mean and rude. I'm not allowed to make one noise around her, but she's allowed to laugh, play music and make noises such as snoring, etc. for fun. Last week I had an exam and I kept telling everyone to not make noise because I barely had time, and she kept coming in and laughing and snorting loudly, screaming, slamming things and smiling at me. Anyways, after I finished my exam, I went to eat something. I wanted chocolate, so I took 1 spoonful of Nutella, and that's where she came in again. She looked me up and down and scoffed, and before she could comment, I snapped at her and said something along the lines of, "Watch your own weight instead of ogling me." Cursed her and we started fighting. Mom said I should have been more nice. She just got home from a final, but I've had enough. She's been so mean and rude, so much to me, that this is nothing compared to what she said. Am I the a-hole for my comment? OP, you're not the a-hole. Your sister and parents are. You snapped, which is what people do when they've been pushed to their limit. You've taken your sister's rude comments and behavior, and I actually applaud you for being able to do it. Your parents should have cautioned your sister to do better if they didn't want something like this to happen. They need to stop enabling her bad behavior. Just because she's a teenager doesn't mean she gets a pass on being a terrible person. I hope she changes, but if she doesn't, please try to avoid her as much as you can.